Images make up the essence of our life. Our eyes capture 30 to 60 images per second, our phones even more. The rise of technology in the modern era has led to over 5 billion images being captured daily and uploaded in some manner, this number being almost unfathomable to comprehend. And yet, in this endless cascading flow of information, the images at the forefront of our media, encapsulating us, are those of conflict, war, famine, genocide, all ugly components to the human species, yet horribly fascinating. Roland Bleicher describes within Pluralist Methods for Visual Global Politics, part of what makes images unique is that they evoke, appeal to, and generate emotions. Pictures of traumatic events, such as terrorist attacks, natural catastrophes, or aeroplane crashes, are seemingly able to capture the unimaginable. This is why news coverage of such trauma is frequently accompanied by images, as if they could provide readers/viewers with a type of emotional insight that words cannot convey. If you were to enter the web of any major publishing site, an image of conflict will almost immediately be present. Moreover, these images of conflict and the military assets depicted within them are key components to the narrative that is being reinforced within major media outlets, that being the projection of power. Power is an all-encompassing factor within the media's depiction of modern conflicts, and military assets are its conduit. To reinforce this idea, we will delve into the two most major geopolitical hotspots of modern conflict, Israel and the Ukraine. Let's take a step back for a moment.
If you want to see how the media influences our perception of warfare, you need these three tools: discourse interpretation, semiotics, and compositional analysis. We begin with compositional analysis. The viewer is encouraged to describe what they see in an image in a plain manner. For instance, when we look at this sunset here, what we might feel on a fundamental level might differ from person to person, but in reality we can all agree that in plain bare detail, what we are seeing is a sunset. The viewer is encouraged to describe what they see on just a basic plain level.
Now, our second tool, semiotics, is where we begin to develop ideas about the image. Semiotics, or the study of symbols, invites the audience to look on a deeper level of what objects represent within an image. Scholar Gillian Rose described within visual methodologies that signs can be distinguished depending on how symbolic they are. Signs can be denoted, that is, describing something, or influencing us. This step allows us to begin the analysis of the image itself.
See what I did there? While the utilization of a guitar within an image usually symbolizes someone who is an artist or enjoys music, my changing hand position might convey a completely different or aggressive idea to the audience.
Finally, discourse interpretation, the final step of image analysis. This surmising step allows the audience to ask the bigger questions regarding an image. For instance, who do we see in an image versus who do we not see? What power relations are visible? This step really allows us to dig deep into the analysis of an image and ask the bigger questions.
These combining factors are essential to the analysis of images on a larger scale, laying the foundation for us as the audience to critically analyze the underlying themes of images. Through the utilization of all the factors mentioned previously and treating the military assets as the focal point within images, we can begin to see how in reality, the usage of anything from tanks and planes to guns and grenades are hugely influential within images of conflict presented to audiences.
Now, both Ukraine and Israel represent two of the most major and devastating hotspots of conflict as of 2025. And while they remain completely separate in a geopolitical context, their depiction within modern media sources reaffirms the rhetoric spread around them. Whether or not we agree with the rhetoric spread within modern media sources is not the question that is posed in today's investigation. We are focused purely on the analysis of these images and how they in themselves persuade our opinions on it.
Let's have a look at how the Israeli Defense Force is captured using an assault rifle. We can see immediately that their weapon is equipped in a ready-to-use position, faces covered and eyes determined. Using semiotics, it is obvious that in this situation, the rifle is representative of a weapon, something handled by a professional marching towards the objective. If we delve into discourse interpretation, again, the image contains power, aggression, and professionalism. all elements that we actively see in the media regarding the IDF within the Palestinian crisis.
In regards to discourse interpretation, what incentive would the IDF soldiers have to be depicted in media this way? Through this last and final tool, we can really start to ask the bigger questions and see the narrative that is projected. Wow, the rifle represents a weapon, obviously. Well, no. Let's have a look at another depiction of the same military asset, but this time in Ukraine.
This image captures Ukrainian infantry retrieving a wounded soldier. These soldiers have their rifles positioned on their backs, still within view of the audience, but not immediately equipped. Their faces are shown, determined yet slightly fearful. The unequipped weapons symbolize a more passive element to the audience, further reinforced by the aiding of a fellow soldier in what appears to be an active battle zone. This hasty retreat with weapons stowed illustrates a very different picture to the IDF's confident mastery over their weapons.
The contrast is clear. The IDF is painted as professional, stern, and aggressive through the utilization of the rifle, fully equipped and ready to engage, while the Ukrainians are illustrated to be on the back foot, unequipped and defensive, rugged yet professional. The power that they hold through the rifle, or the lack thereof, completely contrasting how we perceive the image.
Let's have a look at another military asset commonly captured within media. The audience is introduced to an Israeli tank, barrel pointed at the camera with what seems to be its secondary operator poised at the machine's crown. Outline obvious, though face obscured. The day's light shining down upon the war vessel with dust billowing from the earth below. We can see that the machine's powerful movement and the aforementioned barrel aimed at the camera in a threatening manner is a sign of confidence and power in the hands of the Israeli side. The contrast between the Israelis' depiction of a tank and how the Ukrainians' capture of similar vessel within an image is night and day. The lighting is dull and we are introduced to a man residing within the confines of a tank, a dark metallic space. The camera is positioned above him, symbolizing a weak, meager appearance, reinforced by tired, sunken eyes. The man's face consists of a large portion of the shot, with the tank barely in frame. Through the combining elements presented to us, it is clear that this tank is symbolized as a coffin. If we look at the bigger picture, the difference between the usage of the tanks for both sides is clear. For the Israelis, a proud and powerful chariot of conquest, and for the Ukrainians, a vessel to hide in, a coffin for the afraid. We can see clearly that the Ukrainians are far more humanized by the examples demonstrated today, and for good reason. The narrative within Western media, being in line with Western policy, widely condemns Kremlin's actions to invade the sovereign nation of Ukraine. So the images that are displayed to us within our media sources aim to humanize Ukraine's actions, position them as underdogs. Military assets are represented as tombs or secondary objects to aiding the fellow comrades. We are, as the audience, are positioned to root for the Ukrainian war effort, to sympathize with them. In contrast, the Israelis are usually depicted to be on the forward foot in regard to military campaigns. They are considered and positioned to be powerful, and the military assets represented within the images captured of them reinforce this. The confident striding of the IDF soldier, and the strong war chariot barrel poised at the camera and ready for combat, further connotate this idea. Images are critically overlooked when the argument of media influence is brought up in discourse. From our analysis today, it is clear that they are a crucial component to understanding how narratives are conveyed within our news sources. I think it's pretty clear now that the media manipulates our perception of conflict through the utilization of military assets and the projection of power that comes along with this.
The tools of analysis that we have learned today can not only be applied to images of conflict, but all images in general. And in this age of rising technology, increased digital presence, and misinformation, we, as the audience, now have the tools to fight back against coercion. Thank you.